Green. I'm Rana, and tonight's guests are all associated with our local organization, outCT. The guests are, well, I guess from left to right, Leo Schumann, who is the president of the board, Lindsey Gillette, who works with the youth coordinator, right?
Yeah, youth coordinator.
And Peter Fuhrmeister, who also works with the youth. And we're going to talk about outCT, what it does in general as an organization, focusing particularly on its youth programs. So welcome all three of you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we're a little bit late. We had a couple of little technical problems, but nothing out of the ordinary. I guess, since I think it's the first time each of you has been on the show, could you each say a little bit about how you got involved with outCT? In any order.
Yeah, I got involved 2 years ago after the Pulse shooting in Florida. I was inspired to contribute to the community. So I ended up meeting Mario, who is the chair of the youth group, and I connected with him, and we've been working together ever since on the youth group.
I was one of the founding members of the organization. I was recruited essentially by Constance Christophic, who was the original president. And we started in 2013. And in that time, I've been on the board and I've been treasurer, now I'm president. I've also been involved with the youth group and helping that go and facilitating that. So pretty much every job is what I've done.
And I think Constance still has a little bit of a finger in the group.
She's mostly retired, but she always has answers to questions when we need them.
It's a tough job.
And I got involved in a lot of the volunteer activities. There's just a lot of opportunities come along. They needed somebody to show up and help with this or help with that. And I did that for a while, and then I started reading about the suicide rate of marginalized youth, specifically trans youth. And I decided that I really wanted to do something about it. And so I have known Lindsey for a very long time, and so I got involved in helping facilitate the group.
So yeah, it seems like there are still a lot of obstacles. I think of how things were 50 years ago when it was horrible, but actually in some ways things are still pretty awful for marginalized people. I guess since we're trying to focus on the youth group tonight, what are the particular challenges? You talked about the high suicide rate among trans youth, but what other kinds of things are you trying to help youth with?
Well, there's certainly bullying throughout schools and any social activities, any place they're involved, there's that opportunity for that. And essentially, the kids don't have many places where they're free to be themselves. We have the Gay Straight Alliances in some of the local schools, the Unity Club, Marine Science Magnet School. These are places where they have that opportunity. For the most part, though, many of these children not only can't be themselves in their social environments, but in their families as well. Some of them are not completely able to express themselves in that. And so this has been great because it gives them a chance to come out and spend time with other people who are their age and who also are questioning or who just want an opportunity to express themselves, and so they can get together and do that.
Statistically, LGBTQ youth tend to have, they're at greater risk for lots of different things. So suicide, homelessness, sex trafficking, different things like that. And it has to do with lack of support or from home or society, other places. So we would like to create a space where they feel that support that could maybe make up for the lack of what they might find in their everyday lives. So that's what we try to do.
Now, I guess I was interested in knowing, do many of the youth really have a lot of strain with their families, when they're in that 12 to 18 age?
Well, I think there's just general purpose teenage stress. It just adds a little bit more.
Yeah, or sometimes a lot more even, I'm guessing. You know, because teens are really still dependent on their parents to take care of them, but
From what we see, it's very much to the extremes. That we have some people who are completely and utterly supported by their families, and others who are not. What you read in newspapers, magazines, teenagers who've run away, as Lindsey said, end up in sex trade. They're just out there, or they end up in drug trade just because they're trying just to have a place to live because they don't have a home anymore. They don't have their family. So like I say, it can go extreme either way. And the suicide rate, again, is very dependent on family acceptance. Those who are accepted have a significantly smaller suicide rate than those who don't.
that kind of makes sense, because even if society isn't necessarily really accepting, if you have a home that you feel comfortable in, that's really, you know, a huge support for someone who's, you know, 14, 15 years old. So another thought I have is in schools, is during the middle school years and high school years, people who aren't in the in crowd often don't meet each other. So, you know, students who are questioning or past questioning, I would imagine it's hard for them to meet a peer group just within their big schools.
What we try to, it's kind of like the Keep Swimming campaign that was started a couple of years ago, and just encouraging young people who are forced in a circumstance. They don't have cars, they don't have the option of like where they're living, what school they're going to remind them that there is a community that's available that they will have access to. And so by providing that for them, bringing kids together and, you know, minority group, to see that there are more people like them. And that's, yeah.
I'm guessing that those years that you're dealing with in the youth group are the most vulnerable years of these kids' lives. Yeah.
Well, the most strained for, I remember being that age.
Yeah, like Lindsey was saying, they can't just go somewhere and hang out with the people they want to be with. So this kind of provides an opportunity for them to come and just they're with their people. They're relaxed, they're happy, they're open. The kids really they come in shy, but they blossom quickly.
For sure.
Now, what kind of specific programs do you offer?
We evolve a lot. We kind of try to pay attention to the kids and what they need. Picking up on cues. So we've talked about bullying. We've talked about labels and how they affect people's perception of you, and how, you know, perceptions of labels make us think about ourselves. And we try to discuss mental health and stress reducing and stuff like that. And then we also try to incorporate also fun things too, activities.
We do have a once a month meeting. It's usually the second Sunday of the month. It's the third Sunday of the month. And we have 3 hours. And so what Lindsey's talking about is the different things we try to do in that period when we have them all together. And we help them explore. We talk about all these things. We usually feed them, and they're very happy with
Yeah,
that.
of course.
And then, you know, we're planning some fun activities for the summer, which we've done some in the past, and we'll be doing some more fun ones this year. We haven't got them all nailed down just yet, but got some things in the works.
Now, do you draw youth from all of Southeast Connecticut, or from a bigger area, or?
It's mostly New London County area, and we are able to offer transportation. So we pick kids up kind of all over the place, and they come from every which direction.
Yeah, we're connected. We have DCF certified drivers, and so we've got people all the way from north of Norwich, like all the way into the Rhode Island, like into Rhode Island. So. And
then we also had some people like south of Old Saybrook over in that direction.
Yes,
so it's kind of New London County.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting. This show, the viewing area is kind of funny. It's New London and Waterford, East Lyme, Montville, and then it actually goes out north of Norwich to like Plainfield and Putnam and Griswold and some of those towns. So I'm thinking the youth who live there, they very likely don't have much in the supports systems in our quiet corner of Connecticut.
We don't actually have any restrictions, as long as kids in that age group can get there, or we can make arrangements with the transportation. We don't have any restrictions on who can come.
Now, if you don't mind my asking, the three of you, when you were youth, do your own experiences, have they informed what kind of things you present to the youth you're working with?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
In what way?
Yeah.
Well, when I was around that age, I was really involved with my high school's GSA and those kind of things, and any kind of queer space was always open to me, so it's always what I gravitated towards, and I see the kids kind of respond in the same way.
And I spent more time avoiding those situations, feeling shy or nervous about things. So I suppose my goal is to hopefully encourage people to feel a little bit more comfortable with themselves sooner on. So
I'm a little bit older, so we didn't have as many facilities available to kids.
No, I'm thinking the 60s and 70s were pretty...
And the
pretty
50s.
But were pretty repressed. The 50s in particular were really repressed times.
And they didn't have words for things like transgender. If they did, they weren't spoken. I mean, it just didn't exist. And we still had raids on bars. So it was that is part of what shapes me. But also, being a parent, I try to bring my experiences, what I've learned from my children, to dealing with children like this, because what's worked and what hasn't worked for me with my kids growing up.
So I guess we want to talk about the fashion show too. Part of the goal of the show is to let people know how they can be supportive. And the fashion show, now how long has this show been in existence? I know this year isn't the first.
I want to say
it's the fourth.
It's
2015.
fourth. Yeah. This is the fourth year.
15, 16, 17, 18. It started in 2015.
Okay, you all agree. That's good.
Yeah. Mario Zalusha, never mind. Anyway, he started it. It was his master idea, and he really wanted to be able to raise a good amount of money for the youth program, to be able to help kids, and he had this fabulous idea of a fashion show and bringing people together, creating a community, and it has been a great success. It's been hugely helpful, obviously, to the youth group, and he's worked so hard, and it's a great event. And it's this Sunday, May 20th, 5 to 10, and you can buy tickets at outCT.org. The link's up on there. And if you put the discount code in, which is youth, you'll get $20 off the ticket during this show only. So go get your tickets.
So tell us about what the night's going to entail a little, and then afterwards we'll show a little bit of video from last year.
It's at Ocean Beach in the Port of Starboard Ballroom, and it's a fashion show, but there's also various drag performances, there's speeches, there's a silent auction, there's our host, Kelly Randall. She's a drag queen who's been performing since the age, she's coming up from Florida. And various local queens in the area. There's hors d'oeuvres, drinks, dancing. It's pretty much just a fun night out.
And one of the things we've had the youth doing recently is working on a project. They do a community service project, and so we have a bench that they have decorated with positive affirmations. And one of the things that will be happening is we will be donating that to Safe Futures, who will be there to accept the donation. So that's something else.
Yeah, and then the other one's auctioned off.
Yeah, and the silent auction, we have, I think, about 50 different items from many local businesses, cosmetics, wine, tickets, art events,
Hotel
theater
room,
events.
Sun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've got a signed baseball from
Rick
the Red
Porcello.
Sox. Yeah,
Wow.
we've got a lot of
Yeah.
good stuff. Like, a lot of people came together to make this event amazing, so looking forward to it.
Now, when we were talking before the show, you were also talking about sponsorship opportunities for this show. Is that option still open for businesses?
We have already gone to press with the
Yeah,
paperwork.
If you wanted to slide it as a sponsor, I'm not going to tell you no. So yeah, if people did want to sponsor, yes, they could send us an email and we could probably work that out.
So yes, for the sponsorships, we offer space in the program. We offer seats at the VIP table for certain levels of sponsorship. We just try to make sure that they have an opportunity to get their name out.
Put your logo on our background for our step and repeat background. Get your fancy photos done.
Now, have you found that the community, Greater New London area, has been really supportive of the event?
I think they've been extremely supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for a lot of people who wouldn't normally see a drag show to come to a whole event centered on the whole drag thing and costumes and performance and music, and I think it's just kind of a bridge. It's not our normal community who comes to our events. It's kind of a different crowd.
And I think that was true a little bit. We'll talk also about the Pride Festival you have every year at Ocean Beach, but that has also seemed to be something that's brought people who are just like checking it out.
Yeah, the cool thing about the Pride Festival is so it's at Ocean Beach, so a lot of people who would never go to a Pride Festival end up at one.
Yeah,
That is true.
especially if you have a really good beach day.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, but every year it's been beautiful.
And when you're down there, just as Leo said, and then you have the bands performing and things going, it's hard not to get sucked in.
Yeah, so the Pride Festival, there's a main stage and we have music and performances all day, and we have roaming performers, and then we have vendors. All these different vendors come out, and it's different. It's a really good way for people from all around the area to come together and just kind of be part of the community and see friends they haven't seen in a long time.
And it's August 25th this year at Ocean Beach, and if you go to outCT.org, there's more information about that.
Yeah, I want to tell people there's a ton of information on your website, like in terms of resources. But we do have a video, and I don't think we'll show all 7 minutes, but to give people an idea of what last year's Born This Way fashion show was like. So maybe we can roll a few minutes of it.
And the theme was gods and goddesses, and this year's fairy tales, so just so you know.
You ready for that?
Yeah, we're ready. to show the whole video, but I must admit, I was feeling very intrigued and wanted to see all the costumes because they were amazing. And you had mentioned that a lot of them made their own?
Yeah, essentially everyone makes their own costumes one way or another. Certainly buy pieces and put them together, but yeah, it's definitely make up their own costumes. There's no rules really once we set the theme. So last year, each of the models, and I think this is what we do every year, write up a little bio about who they're portraying and why. So that's a little of that in there.
So you don't get any redundancy even. It's sort
Correct.
of organized, even though everyone gets to create their own.
Correct.
And what's really special is that we have some of the youth kids that choose to walk are able to walk during this fashion show. So it's a really cool experience and to get them out there and do something different. So.
And what you may or may not have noticed in the video is there's no rules about what gender you portray versus what gender you identify as. So there are men acting as men acting as women acting as men, whatever. We have no rules about that kind of thing.
Now this year's theme you said was fairy tales, and so I'm guessing you'll do this. Well, it must be already organized that everyone chooses a different character. Do you get any kind of sneak peek in the costumes, or do you have to wait till Sunday to see it like everyone else?
No, yeah, the illusion is a mystery. Like it's all waiting to happen.
We might see some names of some of the things people are dressing up as, but we have no idea what the costumes are.
We've seen a couple of pieces where people say, well, I'm taking these shoes and this is what I'm going to do with them, but we'll wait
Yeah.
to see what comes out in the end.
Now, how many people walked last year? It seemed like a lot.
About 30.
Yeah, there's a lot of models.
And some of them actually performed in the drag show and then went back and walked in a different outfit on the runway. So there may be some people you see twice.
Okay, but we just saw the runway, which is just a small piece of what's happening.
It's only about 45 minutes of a 5-hour event, so there's a lot going on. A lot of performances, a lot of entertainment, a lot of good stuff. So
Sounds like fun.
it is.
Heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Pasta station and a
You
cash
can do
bar.
bicep curls with them.
So once again, people can still buy tickets. I'm guessing up to the day of the event or the day before the event.
Ticket sales go up until I think 12. Basically 12 hours before the event starts, and you can buy tickets at the door. It would behoove you to buy them ahead of time, because it's a better price. But yes, you can buy them at the door.
And as you said, all the proceeds go to fund the various youth programs that you have.
Yeah, this is the money-making event of the year for our youth group, and so.
So we can take the kids on field trips and buy them snacks.
Yeah, we do like Fields of Fire. We've done that. We've gone to the Mystic Escape Room, and we try to do like little extra things outside of the 1-month meeting to give them more opportunities to get together. So.
And True Colors is
Yep.
another thing we go to. Mystic Aquarium,
Well, they
who is the
sponsor
sponsor
us.
of the event.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're kind enough to donate their time to us. So.
Well, let's talk about some of the other events that you're going to have during this, coming few months. I looked on the website and I found a few things. Now, what is the scavenger hunt that's in July? Does anyone have details about that?
So the scavenger hunt is something that I've organized every year, and I'm pretty inconsistent with the format. Every year I think of some new way to frustrate people. And
That's probably your purpose.
It's a
right?
good thing, though. It's a scavenger hunt.
yeah, so I usually hold it around New London, and it's usually just a list of puzzles or things you have to find or places you have to go, and it's a race. I'm better at making puzzles than being competitive, so the winner is sometimes fuzzy. However, there is a trophy that I made out of things, that I found in the basement. And I made this kind of goofy scavenger hunt looking trophy, and every year the team who gets the trophy takes it home and decorates it more and brings it back the next year. So this will be, I think, the 4th or 5th year of the scavenger hunt. I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but it'll be in July, and we usually have teams of 4, and it's $40 a team. And bring your family, bring your kids, bring your friends. Wear something goofy. Get more points, maybe. Whatever the point system is, who knows?
And when it gets a little closer, I assume people can go on the website
Yes.
and register their teams.
When I figure out a date.
We're still on the
Sometime in
fashion
July.
show. We're like 5 days like before
Yeah.
it, so that's
And
where our
then,
focus
on
is.
Monday, then you can start
Yeah.
like thinking about the exact date.
Yeah, Monday we sleep. Tuesday we start on other
Yeah,
things.
no,
Yes.
Monday's breakdown.
Right,
Then we
so
sleep.
after
Yeah.
the fashion show, when we gear up for Pride, and part of Pride is the fundraising. So a scavenger hunt is a fundraiser for Pride. We're putting together a drag bingo event, so that will be a fundraiser for Pride. And we also have our Hump Day Happy Hour, which is every month, and that's just a social, where the third Wednesday of the month we pick a bar or restaurant and have a happy hour. And also we're trying to be a liaison for different meetup groups in the area. There's recently started. There's a group for people who identify as bisexual, so it's a bi support group. There's also a transgender support group that meets every week, and a men's group that meets every month at Washington Street Coffee House. So I'm just trying to kind of build the network and be the source of information for whatever it is that you're looking for.
The Pride Fest, since it seems as though a lot of your fundraising at least is geared towards this big, festival in August, you're probably looking for sponsors for that. Are you doing it that yet, or
Yes.
starting next week?
Oh no, we start as soon as we finish one Pride, we take a break and we start again. It's our culminating event, and was the original purpose of founding the organization. So yes, we're always looking for sponsors, looking for vendors, looking for advertisers who want to place an ad in our Pride guide,
Performers?
performers, people just want to come. I mean, the whole goal is just to get people there to have a good day. So.
And as you said, the weather has been really good. The Green Party is tabled for a few years, doing like political type stuff, and it's always been like perfect weather when we've been there.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't rain this year.
I don't want to jinx this
I know.
year.
Well, even if it does rain, I mean, there's room inside, and we have like this big youth explosion, we call it, and that happens up in Port and Starboard. And so one of the biggest populations that comes to Pride is kids and teenagers. So a ton of them come out, and so we have like a whole situation for them set up.
Yeah, we had last year we had about 60 kids that signed up signed into our event, and we did like a scavenger hunt
Yeah,
for you, but we did a photo one,
We
so
made a
it was
scavenger
Oh,
hunt.
a little
yeah.
day. So yeah, we did that together actually. We went around Ocean Beach and took pictures. So we had them go around and do that. We had an ice cream social. We had a Mario Kart set up and like giant Jenga and all this different stuff, and music, and we also have a Diva Center, which is a space where hair salon
It's basically
hairdressing and makeup
A
and-
place where you can go and be diva-fied.
yes,
Hair, makeup,
Yes.
nails,
Yes.
glitter, whatever.
Even for a day.
yeah.
That is probably our biggest awareness day of the youth group, where people find out about the youth group and what's going on and have an opportunity to join our email list.
And it sounds like it's geared towards families. So,
For sure.
are there even younger kids than 12 who want to participate in your youth stuff? I would think there are.
We actually just lowered the age limit, so it was 12 to 18, but we kind of find that a little bit older kids they're kind of doing their own thing. They're not necessarily wanting to be a part of a group as much, but we kept getting emails from like 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds, parents, and asking to reach out, and we had a discussion with our youth members and with our youth committee, and we decided to lower the age to 12, and then for older youths members that would like to stay, we would like to provide an opportunity where they could contribute to our group, and hopefully they can gain a different type of experience.
Yeah,
And
almost a mentoring thing, like opportunity, I think.
well, hopefully these little ones are able to be a part of the community and give back to the community that we are trying to give them first exposure to. So that's the ultimate goal, like, and self-esteem.
And part of the age range thing is it's not necessarily a gay, lesbian, sexual identity thing, because that actually comes a little bit older. We have kids who are more having kind of on the diverse gender spectrum, which is which is self-identified at a younger age. So there are a lot of kids who where sexuality, they're not gay or straight because they're little kids, but they are still having gender variant or gender non-conforming feelings.
Well, if you look historically, not every society has traditionally been as binary as our current one, and I can imagine it would be really challenging.
I always say in a world of gray, everybody tries to make it black and white, and so we're a spectrum of all sorts, and yeah.
Now, for the younger kids, if they don't fit into traditional, gender identification, what kind of issues do they have maybe as 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds?
Yeah.
Existing is something that is not one or the other, is just challenging. It's just difficult. The way people treat you, where you go to the bathroom, where, which line you stand in, it's just uncomfortable.
And how you feel about your own body. And who do you talk to about that? And that's the thing. It's like, I feel this. I don't know what to do with this feeling. And so we give them an opportunity. And we bring in occasionally some people from the health profession who can help them understand a little about the gender spectrum and all the different spectrums, because you have, who you're attracted to, who you're physically attracted to, who you're emotionally attracted to, how you identify. There's just, it's much, much more complicated than people like to break it all down into.
And also we provide a space where people can try out different pronouns or different names, or whatever you want to be called this month, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody there is going to stop and ask you about it. They're not going to grill you about it. No one's going to ask, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
It's
not
just,
to mention not to judge you.
Yeah.
there's no judgment. It's just who do you want to be?
Yeah, no one's ever asked anybody any sort of exposing questions. It's all what is to be given, and it's just the encouragement, as Leo said, to express yourself. I mean, I think anybody can remember being, in high school, or even maybe sometimes now, and you're just trying to figure stuff out. And so, like, there's less pressure, like, when you know that you don't have to necessarily give the answer all the time, and you don't have to have the answer, because being young is about discovering who you are, and that takes time and patience and self-acceptance of that process. So
We don't really function as teachers or as guides as much as true facilitators. We give them the opportunity to express themselves how they want to, and we just try to be as supportive as possible.
We arrange the snacks and hand out the name tags.
Yeah, and everyone's name tag has the name they chose as well as the pronouns they choose. And as Leo said, if somebody shows up one week and wants to change their pronouns, okay, make a new name tag. Nobody's gonna care.
And it's really amazing to, because we try to start off the meetings, well, we do, with like about a 45-minute to an hour discussion, and it's just as they said, we provide like a topic, or sort of like, a general theme, but they fill in all the blanks. Like, they're just ready to talk about stuff, and they're just looking for a place to express, and it's actually incredible and inspiring to see the way that they think about things, and even differently than maybe we do as being older members in the queer community. I couldn't even put it all into words, but it's really incredible.
Some of them, it takes a while for them to open up, and other ones come to their first meeting and just explode with words. They have so much that they've been wanting to say, and to have an opportunity to say it.
And I'm thinking that by making the age a little bit younger, puberty is like such a fraught time for everyone. And, this can be a real opportunity for kids who are just starting to enter puberty to deal with some big stuff.
Yeah, and puberty has been starting younger and younger throughout, our lifetimes, and so, yeah, it's a difficult time no matter what age you are when you go through it. But if you're younger, it's going to be more of a challenge. And our generation, this side of the table over here, we're more of a
Yeah.
there's a different perspective about things like gender identity than there is in the younger generation. The high school kids these days can talk openly about things like being gender fluid, which in our time it just didn't exist. And
No,
so yeah.
Like the world pretended that it didn't happen.
Well, even people my age, like, are still, like, I mean, we're, not quite past it, but I think that for some people it's something that needs to be, they need to educate themselves a little bit more on. I mean, there's...
Yeah, so they're coming to us with a completely different perspective on this than any of us actually have. And so we learn a lot from them, and we learn how to talk to other kids in the group by what we learn from the kids we do talk to.
That is interesting because my own kids are in their 40s, but when they were in high school, I felt there was a little bit of a shift. And there have been more shifts since then, but it almost seems like there's a point in time that, I don't know, perceptions do really shift, not, in, I don't know if society as a whole, but among the people that I see. I don't know. I just think about
Leo could probably talk about this, because Leo led a discussion talking about, I don't know, maybe the point of the focus that there was more focus on gay rights for so long, and now that, I mean, I suppose that, gay marriage has been accomplished, that a lot of groups that took away from focus on transgender rights or gender identity. I'm sorry, why don't you talk about it? Go ahead, Leo. Like, let me paraphrase for you what you said and what I remember from the talk. I apologize.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, it seems like things have really shifted where now orientation is almost a moot point. It's not the focus, and now the equality movement has pretty much gotten mostly where it was trying to go. I mean, we have federally recognized same-sex marriage and all that, and obviously, of course, there's still more things to do, but the focus really has shifted to gender identity and expression. And not to say that those people weren't there the whole time, it's just that the whole LGBT's community's energy was focused on the L and the G. And now the T has really become the focus. And in my personal experience, I've seen a lot of people coming out and transitioning who are very young and also very old. Because now it's okay, it's accepted, it's out there, it's accessible. And people who have been in the closet for 40, 50, 60 years are coming out. And conversations are starting in words that we never had. There's a new term all the time. When I was in high school, it was 15 years ago, and I had heard the word transgender, but it was pretty exotic. I didn't really know what it was. And now it's transgender is it's like an antiquated term just about.
Yeah.
Well, we had our Green Party internal annual meeting last week, and one of our co-chairs is a trans woman, and was a first for us. But I'm the secretary. I'm so glad that she's part of the group, because I'll tell you, she can deal with any crazy stuff that happens. She has already, and she obviously she can.
The trans community is becoming much more visible in New London, absolutely. There are a lot of people that are out and about and freely expressing themselves, and I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing to be able to just be yourself.
10 years ago, transgender support groups in this area were meeting privately. Now they're listed publicly. Now the address is accessible. It used to be something where you didn't want to be associated. You didn't want people knowing why you were going in that building. So that's just the change that's happened in a very progressive area in the last 10 years.
Now, do you fear backlash? I mean, this is, nationally the era of Trump, and
That is the
In Connecticut, Southeast Connecticut, are we somewhat insulated from?
It hasn't
That-
happened yet. I'm not saying it won't ever, but in my 15 years involved in advocacy and all that kind of thing, I've never really had a hard time in this area.
I think that this part of the country, we do live in a bit of a bubble, bit of a liberal bubble. In my last job, I traveled extensively, and I was in a meeting, and I mentioned that I'd been the best man at 2 of my friends' weddings, and they're like, "People up there just are gay like that?" I'm like, "They're gay here. You just don't know about it." And that, I think that we have that, and I wouldn't necessarily use the words you use, but there is certainly a feeling of people being a little more free to be able to be aggressively hateful. I don't, as Leo said, I haven't seen that here. I think that a lot of us do fear it from time to time still.
But I think let's just say, for example, let's say at our Pride Festival, if there was a group to show up to voice their opinions, they would look very silly, and I would not be offended. They would be the silly ones.
Yeah, they really would. It's good to laugh at your enemies. Like,
This is our party. What are you doing?
yeah, pretty much.
Now, we only have about 3 minutes left, so I guess in the last 3 minutes, can you let people know how they can be supportive of, the event coming up now, the events coming up later, and of the organization in general?
Buy tickets to the fashion show.
Come to the event.
You have 12 minutes to get the discount. Yeah.
Right.
Buy tickets to the fashion show, like us on Facebook, share our stuff, tell your friends, come to our events,
There's a donor.
join be one of our donors.
If you're interested in volunteering, or you have ideas to contribute to us, email us, send us a Facebook message.
I answer all the Facebook messages, so
And I answer all the youth@outct.org emails.
And if they want someone to come speak at a school, if they know of people who might benefit from being in the youth group, email us, contact us, get us information. We'll do what we can just to help.
If you have a group that you want us to promote, to bring more people, if you have an event you want to do, it's a community group, so
Yeah,
whatever we can do.
Have you gone to a lot of schools in the area to talk to youth groups or groups of young people?
No, we haven't done that.
Yeah.
No, when you said it, it sounds like a really good idea. So I was wondering if.
Well, I mean, if someone would invite us, I think we'd be happy to go.
Sure.
We just haven't received any invitations.
Okay, well, that's another thing to do to support outCT and the youth group is to invite these people, find folks to come and talk to the young people that you see. So bad.
Not
We'll
to
come
put-
talk to those people.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but it does cost money to put these events on, so we do appreciate whatever financial support we can get.
The more donors we have, the cooler stuff we can put on for everybody.
For real.
Yeah,
That's
and
what it
outCT is a 501c3
Yes.
organization. So if you make donations to the organization, they can be written off.
And like we said, Mario's dream baby, the fashion show, is the money-making event of the year. So if people are interested, and this is when they should come and really support and have a great time and possibly go home with some really cool stuff. So.
Well, thank you all for coming on to the show. I really enjoyed it. Next week, my guest will be Kathy Hermes, and she's going to talk about some history of some of the indigenous tribes in Southeast Connecticut. So we'll see you then, and hopefully at the fashion show as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Africa, dream